For today's review, we are looking at the first figure in the Crisis on Infinite Earths build wave, and that is Kid Flash, aka Wally West. Now, who is Wally West for those who have never heard of this character before? Well, the included data profile card, as usual, will give us that information. And as you can see, there's this nice image of what he looks like in comic book art. And the figure came out pretty much the same with the colors, so pretty simplistic, right? And on the back, his real name is Wally West, and it reads, first becoming Kid Flash, a founding member of the Teen Titans, Wally eventually accepted the role of the Flash. After Barry sacrificed his life to save the universe during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, just as heroic as his mentor, the Flash defended Keystone City from all manner of threats and rogues, and helped protect the world as a longtime member of the Justice League. In his private life, Wally married reporter Linda Park and had 2 children, Jay and Iris. Pretty good read-up on who he is as a character, and the fact that he named his 2 children after 2 other characters that exist in the Flash comics. Of course, you have Barry Allen's wife, Iris West, and you also have Jay Garrick, who was another speedster, right? Who was the original Flash. So, alright, before I talk about the aesthetics of the figure and the accessories, which this is all correlated to what I'm going to talk about now, this is going to be kind of like a rant, because I hope that this never happens again with future releases in terms of build waves or just in general anything. So, one of the reasons why this build wave was controversial was mainly because of the pricing on all the figures. Every single figure in this wave to build the monitor each retailed for $39.99. That is the price of a 2-pack. That is the price of a mega figure. Usually, figures that come with build pieces retail for $24.99. This wave in particular was way overpriced. It was also a Mcfarlane Toy Store exclusive, so if you were to buy each figure individually, you would have to take into account of the shipping costs and all the other stuff. So, right off the gate, when this wave released, it was not well received because, one, there were certain characters that people have been wanting in the collection. For example, this version of Wally West in the yellow and red costume was one that I wanted for a while, because before they made 2 other versions of him in different costumes. One was, I believe, based off of Rebirth, and the other one was from Speed Metal. And there was never any version of him wearing the yellow and red, because if you know the story with what happened in the comics, there's 2 Wally Wests. One is called Wallace West. That's a whole different character. And then you have Wally West. This is the one that came before. And they brought this version of him back with the Doomsday Clock story, if I remember correctly. So there's like a whole thing right there with like another event that happens in the comics. But most people wanted this for the shelf, right? Of course, him being one of them. Spectre was another character that I think some people are waiting for, including myself. And of course, that Earth 2 Superman, which looked pretty good. Just in general, none of these figures are worth $40, right? They're not, they shouldn't be. And the running theory, which I don't know if it's been confirmed after a year now, is the fact that this wave was originally supposed to be a Target exclusive build wave. It was supposed to be similar to what they did before, where it would go on for a whole year. That's the theory. But because Target didn't take the wave, or I guess in general, no retail store took the wave, or whatever they were trying to do, they decided to make it a MTS exclusive and overcharge each figure for a price that it shouldn't be. And this leads into accessories, because you would think that for a speedster figure, he would come with lightning effects, right? For him to simulate that he's running really fast. No, he did not include that at all. The only accessory that he actually has for the figure, because you don't count the build pieces, they're not for him, he came with the left and right leg for monitor. So those are the build pieces. But in terms of accessories, this is all he has. Running hands. Which, that's a given for most speedsters. But why was there no lightning effects included for this guy? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, there's a good example of a build wave that exists where most of them had speed effects. The whole speed metal build wave, every one of them came with speed effects and the build pieces. So, I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but regardless, this wave should have not been priced at where it was. And that's where the controversy is that they were overpriced. None of these figures are worth that price point, and they're just your average DC Multiverse figure. So, I hope they don't do this ever again, because if they do, that's just a bad practice in general. And I think we can all agree with that. So, all right, let's move on to the aesthetics of this figure. There is not a whole lot we can really talk about here because on top of, the pricing, this figure mold is a reuse of an existing figure mold, so it's nothing new. I believe that this is actually the Blue Beetle body buck. I think it's either Blue Beetle or Booster Gold. I don't remember which one, but it's definitely one of those. And as you can see, it's just all paint. Like, there's no sculpting going on. Like, well, there is, but that's all pre-sculpted. But I mean, like, there's no texturing. There's not really a whole lot of, other things going on. But again, if you're basing it off of the source material, I mean, the colors are pretty much correct, right? So, but it would have been cool if they added some textures to the costumes, because they did do this with the Titans build wave, where even if they're like comic designs, they still added textures just to make it look cooler. But they did not with this one, unfortunately. So, yeah, there's not really much else we can talk about when it comes to the body buck, because it's the same body buck that's been used before. Everything is painted on, and also his logo is printed on. I like when they used to actually sculpt the logos. Like, let me just bring in like an example. Here's a good one. So, everybody's favorite Flash figure, the one that's regarded as the best Flash figure that Mcfarlane's ever made, that logo is actually sculpted on. Pretty cool. You had like, let's just take the Injustice 2 Reverse Flash, right? They still sculpted it on even with this one. So there's been quite a few figures in the past where they sculpted it on, but now they just print them on. So that's kind of a bummer. As for his face sculpt, I would say it's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty close and accurate to what Wally looks like when he has the mask on. And you can see like this tiny little QC problem right there on my copy with the paint. But it's not too noticeable. So I don't really mind it. I think there's a way for me to clean it. But yeah, I mean, outside of the head sculpt, it's just, that's it with this figure. There's really nothing else going on with it. So now we can really talk about articulation, I guess, because that is another aspect to this figure. Can you get them into running poses? Well, let's try. So with the legs, they're only going to kick out this far. And you can get them into a running pose because the waist here, luckily, is not too tight. So if you want to, you can get them into some sort of running pose, which, that's a good thing. So there's that. But the fact that he can't really kick out his legs too much because this piece right here, again, is tight. And we did look at a figure before, of course, the other video we had, where he has the same problems as well. Even though it is a soft PVC part, which is what this is supposed to be, it feels thicker on the lower half. So that's why the legs here, they can't really kick out too much, right? So if you're trying to do like a full kick, like he's kicking somebody, I think you're going to have to do some modifications to that waist part. As for his legs, they do double joint, right? They do have that. As for his feet down here, they do move. They do articulate. They do have toe articulation. So there's all that going on. As for his waist, as I showed, it moves and actually has a pretty good range of motion right there. And then his torso also has really good range of motion. So not bad. As for his head sculpt, he can look up. He can not really look down, unfortunately. He can look side to side. He can tilt side to side. So pretty good there, except for looking down. His arms can go all the way back. Double joint with that whole thing there. And swivel articulation at the sculpted ball joints. So articulation is standard as usual with most Mcfarlane figures. And certain parts hindering articulations is not the greatest. So there's also that to be aware of. Now, how does he go with the rest of your speedsters? I say he goes pretty good with some of the speedsters that you may have. So let's zoom in here. You may have this figure or you may not. This is the Flashpoint version of Flash, also known as a classic Flash, because that's why everybody wanted this figure. And this was part of the whole Flashpoint build wave, the whole, the previous exclusive build wave at Target. This figure was sold out like crazy, and I was able to get one, fortunately, which was not a fun thing to track down. But nevertheless, I was able to find one, and yeah, these two definitely work together. Like, if you want these two on a shelf, I think this is the best pairing. They have the same body buck, but it works, in my opinion. And yeah, go with this. But if you don't have this figure, and you have the previous Flash, which is the Rebirth version, the best one, I still think is the best one, because I like the way that the lightning effects go on the figure, because they have like ports that peg into like certain parts of his arms and legs, and of course the back. So if you have this one, I mean, yeah, they can definitely work, but you can see that there's like all this texturing on his suit, and his like body shape and everything is a little bit different. It's more slender. I think they should have reused this body buck, in my opinion, for this Wally, because, I mean, if you look at this photo, he's pretty slender looking, right? So I don't think that this body buck is like the, I don't know. That's just my opinion, because they made a slender body for Flash before, so I mean, it could definitely work for Wally. And they've done it for Wally, actually. Like, let's actually take a look at this next figure. So this was the other Wally that they made. I don't have the Rebirth version because that was a Walmart exclusive. I only have the Speed Metal one. And that was the body they used for the Speed Metal. And actually, now looking at the head sculpts, I actually prefer the head sculpt on the Speed Metal one more. There's something that I don't like about the Crisis one here is the fact that, I didn't even say this yet, most of the colors are very glossy looking, as you can tell, right? And if you look at the face, it's not like glossy. I don't know if the camera picks it up. Or actually, no, I'll take that back. It is kind of glossy in person, but it's not like too bad. But I feel like if you were to use a face sculpt with a flush out skin tone, this version of the head sculpt definitely looks better. Because let's just bring in that Flash again. Like, take a look at this Flash. Same thing, right? Its face is not glossy. It's like a matte finish with the skin tone. So it would have been better if they used that same thing. But no, it's a little bit more shinier with this one. So something to take into account. And then, of course, here's another figure that you can definitely pair him with. So you got the Flash. Well, you got the original Flash, Jay Garrick, which I think goes pretty good. And if you want all three of them together, well, let's do this. Let's move them to the side. Not a bad display, right? You got all three of the Flashes in one shelf going. So that could work as well. You can do it with that. Or you can also do this with the Rebirth one. Just really depends on how you want to have them displayed. So, pretty cool. I'm glad they made this version of Kid Flash, because this was one that we needed. If you're a customizer, you can definitely tune up the paint job on this guy if you don't like the glossy look. let's take a look at a few more figures that we can compare him to, and I have a few more. So if you want Kid Flash here, well, who's another character that Kid Flash interacted with in Young Justice? Bart Allen. So you can definitely have that. That can work as well. And if you want to just compare them to some characters from the Speed Metal wave, you can. They don't really fit well with this one because they got a crazy design going on, right? So there's that whole thing. Oh, that's too tall. Let me wait. No, it's not too tall. His feet was not. Yeah. So there's that, and last figure that we can kind of put him next to, Godspeed. So options to display who you want with him, and you can probably have him in a running pose. So there is that. And the last thing I will say that I've noticed as well that I just picked up right now, because I haven't looked at this figure in a while. He has very tiny hands. I don't know why. That's really weird. I feel like the hands are way too small. I don't think they sculpted them right. So that's another problem right there. Because, yeah. Or maybe that's just the same hand size as the Flash. I don't know. I need to look and compare them after this recording. But it just kind of looks weird. The hands feel kind of tiny. But, well, there you have it. That is Kid Flash from Crisis on Infinite Earths, the first figure in this build wave. And is it worth to pick up for full price? Of course not. Do not pay $40 for this. There were recent sales that happened with this guy on the Mcfarlane website. I don't know if he's still up anymore. I know that Spectre and Superman sold out now after, I think, the first couple months when the wave came out. I don't remember when they sold out individually, but I know that the bundle sold out for sure now. It wasn't sold out for a while, but it is now. So, yeah. Well, if you found my review on this figure informative, do give it a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel for more action figure content, you can. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.